Okay, my friends, this is really exciting. I got this from a friend, Heather O'Callahan, and she sends me a lot of stuff, and she's a very good source. And this one here is like 2 hours long. It's about the final days of Petra. Now, this is from a place called Fall of Civilizations. This is exciting and very well done. And for me, it allows me to see things on a much better scale than I can from anywhere else, because they're focusing in right on the rock faces and everything. It's just fabulous. So that's this is under the Fair Use Act. I'm not trying to steal anything, and you should come up and watch the whole 2 hours. From what I watched, only like the last 10 minutes. It's just stunningly fabulous. Okay, as I have always said, all of this is nothing more than bodily tissue from just some gigantic creature. These are nothing more than muscle fibers, and these are sarcomeres, they call them. They have excellent pictures, and I have some excellent pictures. All of these are sarcomeres, which are muscle bundles, and they carved right into, I would think it was probably somewhat moist flesh, and chiseled away at that. It's nothing more than bloody muscle tissue, and there's connective tissue in there too. I'll show you inside right now. But remember these stripy looking things, those are sarcomeres. They run this way too. There's chunks and chunks and chunks, and they're up and down both ways. I'll show you. Okay, this is a pretty good shot. These little holes here are areas so that they can let the moisture out, so that it'll dry out. That's my take. Now, this was chiseled away from bundles of muscle. See these? Those are sarcomeres. You see them flat like this, and then they run up. You see how they have a little fluty looking thing, and then they have a blocky looking thing? That's how they pull together. That's how your muscles work. But they also have connective tissue between them. So they do two things. They go up and down, and they go back and forth like this. All right, now let's look inside. Now, we're going to go inside, but this is what they found. All of these are muscle bundles that are starting to go into connective tissue from like an anchor. There was probably a big ball anchor here or something. But whenever you see the white, it's connective tissue. Whenever you see the red, it's muscle. And this is primarily muscle down here. Wherever that is, I'm not sure, but it's in Petra area somewhere. You see this? That is literally where blood was running through blood vessels to service the red blood. This is connective tissue here. This is all muscle fibers. Let me show you what muscle fibers look like. Don't forget these white stripes everywhere inside are connective tissues. All right, so now you've seen a little bit of the anatomy. Don't forget, you see these breaks in here? Those are sarcomeres. Sarcomeres are pinched bundles like this, but they also have stripes this way. You see all these stripes, and you see these stripes? They go both ways. They go up this way and they go sideways. Let's see if we can find some. All right, everybody just pulls their muscles. They go where they're supposed to go normally if everything's working right. Well, how does it work? Striated muscle. This is the big shot, believe it or not. This is a little closer. Now, this is what you have to understand. You see how they have these breaks here? There's breaks all along there, and this is what the sarcomeres look like. Remember that little scratchy looking spot, and then a clear looking spot next to it, and then the whole thing was a big block like this. And they pull together to make your muscle work. So these two pull together like that. But the key to remember here is they have breaks up and down like this, blocks, and then they have breaks going this way. That's the only way they can work. That way your muscles can turn all kind of different ways, but they can still pull in. Now let's take a look back at it again. So don't forget, what we're going to see is these blocks with these blurry little things, and that's a nice clean one. And then another block with the blurry stuff and a clean one. See how they go with blocks like this? That will open up as a block. That'll open up as a block. So you have a blurry and a clean in each one of these blocks. But then these are blocks themselves. Like here, you see? These blocks pull in and out of each other. So you have the blocks this way and you have blocks this way. Well, let's go back again, be sure you understand. All right, this is just for therapeutical type of looking at it, but you can see they go this way and they go this way. That's all I'm trying to show you. Now, I just told you, this stuff is just absolutely enormous. But these are the stripes going this way, and then they're going this way. This is the muscle of something. I can't tell you what it was, but it was big. And they carved it right into the rock here. These are those sarcomeres right here. And then they have the straight up, so they're going this way, and they're going this way. You see all the lines going this way, this way, this way, but they're also going up. These are muscles. There's muscle, muscle, muscle everywhere. It is what it is. Now the reason I'm pretty sure is that all of these little crevices here, nobody engineered those. That was engineered by nature to feed this with blood. At one time this was all blood running through here. And I guess there's a little stream somewhere in here that's also vascular. A lot of the blood, the river systems and everything are naturally occurring body parts that had to be flushed with blood or the digestive system, whatever. And a lot of them, when you see all kind of crazy colors and things, that's deep into the anatomy. That's not just blood, normally. Okay, this is about the best shot you're going to get. Is right over here is the sarcomere. And you see the block in here? You see the block in here? This was a sarcomere, but they tried to deface this at one time. They shot all the creatures here and broke off the heads of things and all that. But these two here are untouched. This is the layer in between the sarcomeres, and it pulls this way, and it runs straight up this way. That's why you have both layers this way, and you have the bulges going that way. Okay, once again, from the fall of civilizations, there they are. Those are the sarcomeres. That one's been beaten up a little bit, and it looks like they shot some cannonballs into that or something. But in general, they're in pretty good shape. Now, this was red blood coming out of here. So, like I'm saying, this was an arterial network. Now, somehow reason it got plugged up here, and they were able to dig into this really easily. And this is almost entirely blood. That's why it's so red and bloody.
City, which could dedicate such monuments to the memory of its rulers.
It's clear that the site of this hidden wonder...
Alright, well, you should come up and watch this, but I'm just going to grab shots here and there to sort of prove my points. Okay, now they're going to be talking about exploration. Let's see what they have to say. Here we go.
Humble traders rose to become masters of the desert sands and to defy empires. I want to show how the city of Petra flourished to become the crossroads of the world. And I want to explore what happened to finally bring down the empire of Nabatea. Sandstone is a sedimentary rock.
Okay, here's where we're going to part. It is not a sedimentary rock necessarily. There are sandstone sediments, yes. These, however, are not. These are from creatures' bodies that have dried out so much now that they are eroding. But it would have been a fleshy thing, and that's why it's all red and so forth. And there's going to be white connective tissue here and there that will withstand the time, and that just as doing here. Over here it's just eroding away because it's the red flesh.
It's formed when layers of sand are piled one upon another, and then over time subjected to enormous pressure. This pressure, along with natural mineral processes, fuses the sand grains together into rock.
Let me explain something. Sand is different than clay. Sand primarily is the outer layer of skin. Mostly I would say sand has a lot to do with your feet and your hands and your grip skin and wherever your elbows, your knees, wherever you have some tough skin, that's pretty much sand. After that you get into clay and mud, which is your fleshy stuff below the interstitium. But between the interstitium, which they're going to get to in a second, you have a layer of the interstitium, which is membrane. It has a whole bunch of little round balls in it and a lot of mud. And that's the interstitium layer just below what they call the mucosa or skin. Same thing. All right, so let's listen to what they have to say.
Rock. Beneath the lands of Jordan, where this historical drama will unfold, two great beds of sandstone stretch out. These are known as Disi sandstone and Ishrin sandstone. Disi.
All right, you can see it again. You can see this is muscle tissues. Now, they're going to show two different types of sandstone, and it's the two different layers of the body tissue. So let's just watch it here.
Disi sandstone is the youngest and uppermost layer.
Because that's the flesh. Underneath is where the skin and interstitium is.
Sandstones can be any colour, depending on the kinds of grains that went into forming it. And this kind is hard, pale grey, and usually erodes to form distinctive dome-like structures.
These are the tendon balls. These are the anchors in the skin. And what is eroding from it literally is the fleshy skin area of the mucosa. And below that, the interstitium, which is a fluid-filled membrane that would just erode just exactly like this. And it would be filled with these balls. Let's just take a look at it so you're familiar. All right, I work with some pretty top-shelf anatomists that specialize in fascia, interstitium, primarily for sports injuries and so forth, because there's a layer right next to your tendons and all that, and your muscles and everything. But this is the membrane. It's literally your immune system. And in these fluid-filled bags lives bacteria that creates the enzymes, the mucus, and all that. This mucosa could be your skin. It could be the membrane on your eyeball. It could be the membrane on anything, because you have a membrane on every single thing in your body because it separates it from the rest of your body. It has to. All down your digestive system. You can't have all that junk going into your body. You have to have a membrane. It only lets the good stuff in, keeps the bad stuff out. Now, this is where it comes into all the good stuff, because then it gets shuffled around to wherever you need it. This is a fluid-filled highway. However, inside this fluid-filled highway, which is just really red, fleshy fluids, you have these tendon balls. And they can be huge, or they can be tiny. Depends on the size of the creature. I'm going to show you something right below here that's going to knock your socks off. Now, this is, again, mucosa. This is the top layer. It could be skin, again. It could be your intestinal layer. It could be the outer layer of your kidney or lung or pancreas or gallbladder, anything. Your testicles, it doesn't matter. So what would happen if a guy died and he was laying on the side of the ocean like that and the water kept eroding and eroding and eroding? This is really weak, floppy, red, fleshy. Water will just wash that away. Well, what would happen to the balls? Those balls are tougher than hell because they're the anchors. That way there you can pull your skin this way and that way and over this way and that way, and they all come back to wherever the anchor was. Well, now the anchors have fallen down, and this is the size of these things. I'm sorry, that is the size of them. That whole thing, and this is Huntington's Beach, I believe, in the United Kingdom somewhere. That is a mucosa layer. I don't know what it is, but it's a white chalky layer, which I believe that's skin. And this is the interstitium balls, and there are a bazillion of them. And that's what you have wherever there's leather and wherever there's hide, and it stretches and pulls back, you have these balls. And the size of the hide and the leather depends on the size of the balls. I show them in my belt. The same ones are in my belt, and then they have these little straps going. Now these, everything eroded away. I think this is facial skin or something like that, because it doesn't have a lot of straps. It's just got, or I don't know what it is. I don't want to make any guesses, but I can tell you what, that's mud. And mud is nothing more than eroded flesh. And these balls are falling out all over. And the mud and the skin is all eroding down because it's extremely fluid. As you saw, it's just nothing but fluid-filled sacs. Right? You saw that. Here it is right here. Fluid-filled spaces. They just wash right out of here. So, Roger, what are you saying? Well, I am saying that these were the balls. Now, they anchor into some skin or whatever it is. And the skin, I think this was skin because it eroded away a little easier than it would if it was really tendinous material. But you can see they have these rounded sort of formations, and things would try to grow into them so that they would anchor, or they are anchoring down below, which into what they call the basement layer. So you have two layers. The first layer that I just showed you apparently was a younger layer, and these are underneath it. But this was a layer where it had eroded to a point where you could see underneath the red fleshy part. Okay, I hope you remember I showed you inside the treasury here. It's nothing but flesh. Now, this appears to be a confluence of different arteries all stemming from one area. And they just dug into that red blood and created the monument you see here. And they're all over the place. They did it everywhere. So they must have been soft, as far as I'm concerned, when they did this. It must have been not too far after the Great Flood that killed all these gigantic creatures. And when I say gigantic, I mean I'm talking gigantic. I showed you these are muscle sarcomeres. These, in us, you need a microscope to see. So you take it from there. But I showed the dragon in the deserts over 1,000 miles long. I've showed the one on the East Coast, same thing. This planet was covered with creatures that they spoke about in the ancient myths. Now it's time to fess up and start doing our real research and not just hide in the woods because we're scared. If you're scared, just go somewhere else because this is kind of scary. It's just the way it is.